Pop dots are a great way to add dimension to your cards and scrapbook pages. And the newest stamp set, Home Is by Tammy Mayberry, is a perfect set for this technique. Let me show you how you do this. First, I'm going to stamp the tree trunk from the new Home Is stamp set by Tammy Mayberry, and then I'm going to stamp these 2 bushels of leaves, and you'll see how cute these are. Okay, I'm going to use some of the Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and stamp that first. And then I'm going to stamp a couple of outlines here of these little bushels of leaves. Now this stamp can also be used for smaller clouds. Such a cute little set. Then I'm going to fill in the inside using this stamp, which is just a pattern. Such a cute little pattern. And what I would do first is I would stamp it once just to make sure you have it facing in the right direction. So you can see, okay, is that going to fit, or do I need to flip it around upside down? So I think I'm going to flip that around upside down. It's not imperative that you get it centered, dead center. That won't be a big deal. You just want to try to get it, pretty close. Like that. And you can see pretty well because the shape of this stamp matches very, very well with the shape of the cloud. Okay, or rather the bushel of trees. Looks like a cloud to me. Okay, now the next step is to cut these images out. You're going to cut these little tree leaf bushels out, and you just want to follow along that black line. Very easy to do. And you can use either our heavy base weight cardstock or our layering weight cardstock. It doesn't really matter which one you use, but if you're planning to do a lot of cutting, actually our layering weight might be a little bit better because it's a little bit thinner and it's easier to cut out around these tight curves. Almost done this one. And for the sake of saving time for television, I've already pre-cut 3 of them that I'm going to use for my project. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to color this tree in. So I'm going to grab those Bic markers from last week's Stamp TV video. I'm going to use Honey Brown and Sunset Orange. And I'm going to start with the Honey Brown, and I'm going to color the whole trunk of the tree in. And you can see you get a nice smooth laydown of color with these markers. Now, of course, if you have Copic markers, you can use those. If you have Prismacolor markers, you can use those. Or you can use any type of coloring medium you want. Maybe you want to use Prismacolor pencils and Gamsol, or you want to use a little bit of watercolor paint. That's fine. Just color in your tree trunk with whatever you like. And I'm going to show you how I create a little bit of depth here in the tree trunk, a little shading. I'm going to grab the colorless blender pen from Copic, and I'm going to use the original marker. That's the square barrel marker. And I'm going to use that small pointed end. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to run the marker just over the lines that you'll see in the stamped image. And that's going to kind of weather my tree a little bit, and that's what I want it to look like. You can see, you can just create little lines going up. And the Bic markers will not ruin your Copic blender pen. Actually, nothing will be on the end of your Copic blender pen with the Bic markers. It just kind of dissolves that ink right away. See, and then I gave that tree a little bit of shading and a little bit of depth, and you can see my blender pen. My blender pen doesn't have any of that brown on it at all. Okay. Now my next step is to cut out the tree, and I'm going to do that just with my same Cutter Bee scissors. And you know how a tree would get cut out. So I've already pre-cut one, and I've colored in that little heart using the sunset orange. Now what I've created here is I've used one of the Spellbinders classic ovals, and I've cut out an oval in ivory, and I've stamped one of the greetings from the Home Is stamp set, Missing You. This is going to be the perfect card to send to my daughter who's away at school. And then I used the lacy ovals and cut out a red background. Now I'm going to attach the tree trunk using some of the mono dot adhesive. Right over the greeting, like that. Now there really isn't any reason why I couldn't have just stamped this tree trunk directly onto this piece of ivory, but if you're wanting to use a different color than ivory for your oval, say you wanted this to be pink or you wanted it to be red, then paper piecing this one is a really good idea. Plus, I think it gives it just a little bit more texture when they run their finger over it when it's cut out and it's stuck on top. And now I'm going to use pop dots. I have the 1/2 inch pop dots and the 1/4 inch pop dots. Now the 1/2 inch pop dots are much thicker than the 1/4 inch pop dots. So one of my little bushels of leaves I'm going to tape directly onto the tree. One I'm going to use the 1/4 inch pop dots, and one I'm going to use the 1/2 inch pop dots. And that's going to give me 3 different depths, and that's going to create a lot of dimension on this card. So the first one I'm applying with the mono dot adhesive. Just pop that on there. The next one I'm going to use these 1/4 inch pop dots, and that'll take 2. And that one we'll put here. And then for my, well, I'll move it over a little bit there. And then for my final one, I'm going to use 1/2 inch pop dot. And I'll put that one on top. Now you can see from the side view you've got a flat one here, a very, very high one, and then one that's not quite so high. And that really gives dimension to your card. Let me show you my finished card project. Here I've done the same thing with the oval and the lacy ovals, and then I've taken one of the little heart stamps from the new Home Is stamp set, and I've created my own background paper just by stamping this in red on the ivory cardstock. I've layered it with a piece of our red hot cardstock and then put the whole thing on an ivory heavy base weight card base. With a little bit of red double-stitched ribbon, it just sets the whole thing off so nicely, and it's a cute little card project. Use this technique for flower stamps, boat stamps, or any kind of project where you want to create depth.